will get the conversation started. It is 5:05 now, and perhaps we'll have more that will join us. We do have a good little cozy group with us today, but I will provide the contact information to connect you and get you connected with anyone that registered for today's call and missed it. We'll also go ahead and we'll post it on our website so that you can, watch it back yourselves and, share it with anyone that wasn't able to make it. So that we can learn a little bit more about live probiotics for the skin. So I'm super excited to welcome you guys and learn more about LaFlore and what this product does. And I'm also excited to talk a little bit about or hear a little bit about this new product duo that you have as well. I'm excited. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Amy, and run with it. Let us know how we can support you in this call.
Yeah, because, I have a presentation, but I figured since it's just the smaller group, and it's, 5 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock our time. I'm like, well, I don't want to put you to sleep with a boring presentation. We can talk through the presentation and just be more personal and show you products and stuff, because we've gone through this so many times. We've got it pretty much memorized. So if it's okay with you, I'd rather be more personal. So yeah, we'll just jump right in if that works. All right.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. Go for it.
So to back up, so LaFlore Live Probiotic Skincare is the actual brand, but Dakota Biotech is the company. So a lot of times when you're working with LaFlore, you're going to hear the name Dakota Biotech. And so it's important to tell you about them. They are the overarching company that manufactures and develops the actual science. And so when you hear live probiotics, there is a pending patent that Dakota Biotech actually owns. And we're looking at the end of this month owning and actually having it in our hand. It's been a 2.5-year, almost 3-year process of getting that patent done, which if anybody's ever worked with patents, it's a long process. So we were just delivering some last minute things to the officers on the patent case. And so it's exciting, but Dakota Biotech owns the technology. And just to give you an overarching view of what that is we've found a way to put the live probiotics in a gel matrix and put it in skincare. It lies dormant until you apply it to the skin. When you apply it to the skin, it comes alive again. And then it doesn't require refrigeration. So that's really the big deal. You might find something out there in the market, but it always requires refrigeration. So the fact that they've been able to do this technology and not have to be put in a refrigerator, big deal. So the other thing about Dakota Biotech is that we have all the science to back it. We've done a skin sensitivity test with it's a clinical study with 50 people and with dermatologists. And so that when you look at our boxes, if you'll grab one, on every box it says dermatology approved and tested for sensitive skin. And so we went through with 50 different people and tested on sensitive skin and people with like rosacea and stuff. But this test was specific for sensitivity issues. And so we have dermatology approved for that, and we have the tests that back it. But all the tests that we do, we make public to you. So we have full COAs and toxicity tests, and that test specifically that I put into a QR code, much like the CBD industry, where you can scan it and then see all the tests that back up all of this information. And that is all coming out of Dakota Biotech. So it's important that you know that, because then when we talk about LaFlore, a lot of times like our emails say Dakota Biotech in it, people are like, what's Dakota Biotech and where does that fit in? So that's why I spend a little bit of time on that. So with that, then we can go into LaFlore, and LaFlore is the brand that Dakota launched a couple of years ago. And so many of you probably have heard of LaFlore because we have been in the market. We've been to iSpa, we've been to many of the trade shows and been getting out there. But Dakota Biotech spent the first 1.5 years, almost 2 years, really just developing the science. And then a couple of years ago, started launching the brand. So it is, it's a natural and organic ingredients that's paired with this live topical probiotic and advanced science to create healthy skin at any age. So it's not skin specific, right? It's not It's not a skin type. It works for all skin types. And the reason for that is that we're working with everyone's microbiome, and like my microbiome is different than Maggie's. It's different than Holly's. It's like an individual fingerprint. And so when you apply the probiotics to the skin, it will recognize what your skin needs and then produce it accordingly. So if someone has oily skin like Maggie does, and I have dry skin, it's going to produce different things for me than it would for Maggie. And so it works for any skin type that way. You don't need to have, a dry skin line and a oily skin line. It's all the same. So, all right, let me get into like the ingredients a little bit and the live probiotics. So let me get there. So the first off is that our LaFlore we have our cleanser, we have our moisturizer, and we have our serum. And all of the products were made to synergistically work together. And what we mean by that is that every ingredient is important because you're setting up for the live probiotics. So we use prebiotics, we also use lysates, and then we use the live probiotics. And all of it has to work together so that we're not harming the probiotics and what they're doing on the skin. And what you feed the live probiotics determines the outcome. It's like a tongue twister. Determines the outcome of the metabolites or the postbiotics on the skin. So when you apply them to the skin, they begin living or passing away. And as they pass away, they produce metabolites on the skin. Well, what you're feeding them or prepping on the skin will determine how good that outcome is. So with that being said, you can't just put any ingredient in your products for that to be a good outcome. You have to think of every single thing that you put in. With that being said, we've often said, LaFlore is a one-to-one. You can do one-to-one with any other line. You can mix this. Say you have a serum that you absolutely love. You can boost it with LaFlore serum, and then you have a probiotic serum. But that's only if that serum has good ingredients, doesn't have sulfates, phthalates, and surfactants in it. So you don't want to mix it with something that has ingredients that could harm the probiotics. Does that make sense? I'm just going to go with those that I can see that are nodding their head. I like the interactiveness. So with the cleanser, that is the way it's been developed is that it's got nice oils in it, and it's feeding the skin, and it's prepping the microbiome or the surface of the skin, getting it ready for the serum.
You say it has nice oils. Is that an anhydrous cleanser?
And then say that again.
Anhydrous.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that word is. I've never heard that.
That means it doesn't contain water. You referred to a lot of oils in it.
Right.
Does it have water in it as well? Yeah.
Right. No. So we can, at some point, if you're interested, I can go through a full training with you and go through all the ingredients as well. But yes, I understand what you're saying, and no,
no, meaning it has no water.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, and no,
Yeah.
And it's got all kinds of avocado oils and sea buckthorn oil and everything that we would feed the microbiome for the live probiotics.
How would you stabilize that with all those different viscosities?
Well, you sound more like a scientist, so I think that I would have to get the scientist involved in it. I wasn't prepared to have a scientific conversation. I'm not involved in the stabilization of the product, but I would be happy to connect you with that type of information if you want to contact me outside of this.
That would be great. Thank you.
I'd love to. So with the cleanser, we developed that to prep the skin for the serum, and then the serum is got the live probiotics in it. We do use lysates too, and the live probiotics, and then the moisturizer has lysates in it, but the moisturizer was developed for really defending the skin and protecting it from environmental pollutants. So
lysates meaning dead bacteria, is that right? Lysates.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Yes. So So that's the basic 3-step system. And we also have the longevity oil that was recently launched in, I want to say we did this in March. So right as COVID hit, we launched this. And this is a really good oil for after treatments like your microdermabrasion or your microneedling. Chemical peels is too, because this is really good for burns and healing the, the skin afterwards. So I'm thinking about your questions and I'm like, man, I should have gone into detail. I didn't realize I would have such ingredient questions. I was trying to keep it really light for late in the day.
I know, but it's kind of important though when you're talking about
Sure.
probiotics.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like I said, I just wanted to keep it fairly light. And then right now we're getting ready to launch, and this is something that Holly mentioned, our natural hand sanitizer and our hand shield. This is this is powered by essential oils, no alcohol, and our hand shield is powered by the live probiotics. And again, our live probiotics produce the antimicrobial peptides, which we have the science that backs it. That fights off pathogens, viruses, and bad bacteria on the skin. And so we've put it in the hand sanitizer, but to help obviously with today's time. Now, we've got COAs that show all the viruses that it fight, but we don't have tests towards COVID because that costs $400,000. So we have not tested against COVID. But we've tested things against MRSA, E. coli. We know that it stops candida and yeast from growing on the skin. We've done all those tests and we've got all that available for you. But because we know that live probiotics produces those antimicrobial peptides that kill or fight off, is probably a better word to say, those pathogens and viruses on the skin. Okay. Any questions about that? No. Awesome. So it's a smaller line. We do have a discovery kit as well, and we've kept it small just because you don't need a lot of the others. You don't need all the other extras because we're really working on the technology of the live probiotic.
Are you able to share what strain of probiotic you're talking about?
Yeah, it's lactobacillus. I'll show you the word because I can't say it. Lactobacillus. Does that make sense? Okay,
lactobacillus. Okay.
Yeah. So
are you able to identify the strains? Because there's quite a few different strains for that, and I'm just curious if they're divulging the strain or strains that might be used.
Yeah, we have that in a scientific presentation, and that's Maya is our scientist who does a lot of presentations at microbiome conferences.
Okay.
So yeah, she goes more in depth of that, but it's lactobacillus is really what I know it as. I don't know all the individual strains, but yes, to answer your question.
That's a safe one. It's one of the most common. It's very good, and that's depending on what it's paired with. But that's great.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, it's because of the lactic acid portion of it and the cell renewal and applying it to the skin and what it's doing over time. I mean, we're preparing for a couple more clinical studies to start to take place, more in depth for actual rosacea and actual eczema, and then what actually our product is doing on the skin with before and afters. And that's coming out of the Dakota Biotech itself, using LaFlore, but because of course, when you're using live probiotics in a technology like this, you have to have lots of studies to back it,
Absolutely. We've seen evidence that that particular bacteria can shows over time some improvement in rosacea. We don't know why, though. We have not been able to identify exactly why that happens, where we can with eczema and we can with acne vulgaris, but we can't identify exactly how that happens with rosacea just yet. So I'm curious to see what your clinicals look like. Yeah.
Yeah, we've partnered with a university out of Ohio, and a group of doctors up there that have been wonderful and helping. But as you may, or I'm not familiar, you and I don't have a relationship, so I don't want to assume that you know. But it takes time and a lot of money, right, to do all these clinical studies. So we're doing them one at a time to make sure that, you know, we're doing the right ones and when we need them, right? So, but we have started, and we've got a lot of things in place right now. You know, each of our, all of our raw materials go through all kinds of testings, and we don't just, we use glass for the purpose of the live probiotics to keep them healthy. And we have over 3 years of data to show that they can lie dormant and be just fine until you actually put them on the skin, and then they're activated. So
Depending on how they're stored, of course. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So we don't have to refrigerate them. Our technology does not require refrigeration. So, and that is the pending patent.
Until the seal is broken, until the container is open, then there's a limited shelf life after that.
Right, but we have 3 years that we have. We don't.
After the seal is broken?
We don't tell people that. We tell them, you know, 12 months, and it's best used at 6 months, but we have actual 3 years of data. Yeah, and it's all in the patent that we own. So it's pending technology. Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. So I think you would really enjoy a call with our scientist. So to make a long story short, that's pretty much, that's it. We do know that it produces those antimicrobial peptides, which fights off pathogens, which is really big right now. It also produces vitamin K, vitamin B, and your amino acids on the skin. But knowing that everybody's microbiome is different, and not having to do certain skin types, that this works for all skin types, it really simplifies the process for skincare. Now, for spa directors and for spas out there, this isn't a line that you have to bring in and replace another line. This is a boutique line that you can add in and do upgrades to what you currently have. So because as long as another line doesn't have sulfates or phthalates or surfactants in it, you can add them in as a 1-to-1 ratio. So much like your CBD lines that you've got out there that do upgrades and enhancements, you can do that as a probiotic enhancement and treatment as well. So so with LaFlore, it can be done that way, because I know as spa directors, it's like, oh, I don't want to get rid of a line to get another line in. We totally understand that. You can add it in as a small little boutique line. It does retail nice as well. We do have back bar. We have protocols for just LaFlore, and we have protocols to use with other lines as well. So we have lots of options available, and we absolutely love to help in any way that we can. And we have full trainings available where we come in and help your staff to understand the technology, because the probiotics become the delivery system. And we have trainers that come, and a full training guide on all of that as well.
So, Amy, with that in mind, and knowing that, right now can be very tricky for a lot of spas to bring in anything new. I mean, we spoke a bit about this when you first joined our association, and we're interested in joining the association, about having this boutique line can be really beneficial right now, right? And an opportunity to sort of, create something new and boost what people already have that they love. So can you maybe speak a little bit to some of the protocols that you have that, or maybe like highlight an experience in how this is implemented in with, say, another facial product, for example? I mean, pull any facial brand out of the sky, I don't care. But how would I incorporate that into my spa if I were not going to get rid of a brand and not going to reprint my menu with just a LaFlore facial?
Yeah, well, if we just took the serum, which is our hero product, right? Because it has the live probiotic in it. The serum can be used with any modality. So say you have just a basic facial, I don't care what skincare line you're using, but you want to use a new face or some type of modality in it, you can take the serum and use it as your conductor as well. So that's a really simple way. And now they're getting a live probiotic in the facial, and you're using a modality. So there's probably 2 enhancements in there as well.
That's amazing. I mean, I love that, right? I mean, who doesn't love having a new face, upgrade, enhancement, whatever you call it in your spa, and as an option in their service, and then to be able to incorporate the live probiotics under the skin too as a conductor is pretty cool. Can you also use it? I mean, if you don't have that tool, let's just say, I mean, certainly you could use it. Would you use it in place of, or would you use it, say, in addition to, as I believe I understood earlier, with, say, another serum? So
yes.
And would you use a second?
I will tell you, Rain Together has a serum, and I use them together. Okay. So you can apply them separately, or what I do every morning is I put my Rain and my LaFlore together and then apply them at the same time.
Nice, John. Nice.
What did you do? Yeah, we love you, John.
We love you, John.
So you can do it that way too. And then depending on, that be in the treatment room, right? So now they're getting, by the way, for those who don't know, Rain, that's CBD. So now they're getting CBD and live probiotics in a facial. So
I'm cheering for us.
So there's a double enhancement, I'm just saying. It works, but the other thing too, Holly, is that this the hand sanitizer and the hand shield, a lot of people are spa directors are really getting excited about this for an opening ritual or an opening treatment to sanitize their hands for the guest, instead of making them wash their hands before getting on the table, or how there's all these different requirements and steps right now because of COVID. So, and even ending with it, so that they, in the massage, they can end with the hand shield, and now they've got protection on their hands as they leave. And so they're really thinking through, how can I incorporate that as well? So that's an idea
too. I certainly understand the sanitizer, obviously the purpose for that, why we would use that. Can you talk a little bit more, pardon me, a little bit more about the hand shields? What's in it? Like,
sure. And that's so funny, because the hand shield's what I like better. So, and of course, Maggie will be like, but I love the sanitizer. Now the sanitizer, because it has essential oils and that's what's doing the sanitation, right? Is the natural sanitation. It has a scent, and it's a beautiful scent. Everybody loves it. I'm just the one that's like, okay.
She gets easily overwhelmed by fragrances, just as a person, but it's a very nice, very nice fresh scent.
What are the oils that we'd be smelling, when we're putting this on our hands?
There's a little tiny bit of, it's really mixed. There's like lavender, there's a little bit of orange, there's about 5 different ones. So I need to send you the ingredient deck, because it hasn't launched. I don't have it in front of me. It literally is like, you guys are getting a preview to something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So, but the hand shield is the live probiotics. So because I know the testing on it and how it does fight off all of the bacteria and the pathogens and viruses, I'm using this all the time. My kids have it since we first made it, and it doesn't have a scent, and it's a nice little lotion. So when you use the sanitizer and then you put the shield over it, you've got the double protection, and this is powered by the probiotics.
Which is the lactobacillus? The live lactobacillus?
The live probiotic. Yeah, there are some lysates in it as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, with the tests and all the COAs that we provide, that's the science that we give you to know that I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm going to give you the tests. So, and by the way, we send those out with every shipment, every lot. You get new tests. So with that, it's powered by the probiotics. So when you think, okay, wait, because there's all these sanitizers that's out there, right? And it's like, it's based on alcohol and what it's doing. with the alcohol killing it, right? Well, you're getting rid of your good bacteria and your bad bacteria. What we want to do at LaFlore is build your good bacteria, but get rid of the bad bacteria, because we need that on our microbiome. And with microbiomes, we have them all over. You know, our skin obviously is our largest organ, but we also have microbiomes in our eyes, in our nose, in our ears. I mean, we have them everywhere. So we know we do know from, it's not just me or Dakota Biotech, but if you read about the microbiome, they have learned that in these areas, it will communicate with your immune system to tell you if there's a problem. It can weaken your immune system. So we want to make sure that it is stable, it is healthy, and it is in good condition. So that's why we were so adamant about making sure we stabilize and keep good bacteria going on your microbiome. You don't want to kill everything. And with all of, and this is me speaking, but with all the alcohol being used and with all the products right now with just like kill the stuff on your skin, there's a lot going on with against the wellness of what we should be considering. So I'm a big proponent of the hand shield because of the live probiotic and what it does. So that, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I would love, and Amy, I don't want to hijack what your next, what you plan to speak about next, but I'd love to hear at some point before we wrap up this evening, how did you get involved with LaFlore?
Did she freeze?
Oh, yeah. I did. I froze.
How did I get involved with LaFlore?
How did you get connected with LaFlore? Now, again, you can go wherever you were going to go before that.
Oh, that's fine.
I'd love to know that answer before we hang up today.
I'm happy to tell it. So I've been in the industry for, I think, about 8 years, but please don't hold me to the wall if I'm off by a year, right? Mm-hmm. And I became an esthetician, and I knew I wanted to get into developing products. And so when I got out of school, I started to work for a company called Sanitas. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but it's a skincare company. And I worked with Laura Crone. If you guys know Laura Crone, she is a spa director for Loma de Vida. She's a really good friend of mine now. But she's just a wonderful person. And so I worked with her for a while, and I learned everything there is to know about manufacturing, and there's some great formulators at Sanitas, and I learned everything. I wrote their whole the new manual. I wrote it, and it took me a year and a half. So besides making this such a long story, but I did that, and then I went to work for another company, a CBD company selling in the luxury space, and then I was like, nope, not going to do that anymore. John, you be quiet, John. And then I jumped ship and decided to throw the paycheck out the window and launch my own brand, which is Rain Together. And you guys will hear about that next week. And in that process, I met the chairman of this company, and his name is Stephen Buckley, and he's a great, great guy, and he's full of a lot of wisdom. And him and I got together, and we started talking about this and Dakota Biotech, and that's when I really, really learned about LaFlore. And I was like, there's a lot behind LaFlore and a lot behind Dakota Biotech, and I could really help. And so I started contracting for them in November, and in February, right before COVID hit, I was doing some overseas work for them, and I ended up finding a bunch of distributors and expanding their business globally and internationally. And then the US shut down. And so it actually was a really good thing, because I've been super busy. I haven't rested at all. Because it's been, when China was getting a hold of it, the US hit, and then that's when it got really busy for us. And so at that point, I decided to make a permanent move to LaFlore and help them. And then it has also helped Rain. So that's kind of a long thing, but yeah, that, I don't know if that's what you wanted to know, but when you find out the technology behind live probiotics, it's a really big deal. And then because of the patent, I was like, we got to get the message out. Stephen Buckley is the chairman, and he really believes in wellness and helping people. And he wants to find a lot of cures for autism and for Alzheimer's. I'm like, what's that other one? I was forgetting. How ironic is that? It's Alzheimer's. And once he finds it, he's like, yeah, I just want to give it away. We'll make money a different way. But when I find that, I want to give that away. And you know, you just really want to become a part of that. You know, it's truly what wellness is about, is helping people. So that was how it all started. So I haven't been with Dakota Biotech long, but I've been in this industry long, and you know, it's a good industry to be in.
It is. I think especially now, you know, I think we're very fortunate to be in our industry. You know, I know we are all, even, you know, some of us, my spa that I was working at is not reopening at all, at least with any of us, our current team, which is, you know, disappointing, but you know, we're just seeing spa after spa after spa be successful still in this, I guess, during this pandemic, for what it's worth, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of spas can't operate more than 50%, but I think that what we offer right now, in general, as a wellness industry, is really important. It's really going to help sort of get us through this hump of this pandemic, and hopefully keep people sane. I think that this technology, I'm very, very fascinated. I love probiotics personally. I mean, I take my old probiotics every morning for my gut health, which doesn't seem to, I don't know, maybe it's time to eat better. but I figure I'm like offsetting, right? It's like good fat and bad fat. So have something fried, or like have fried avocados. Have you ever had that deep fried avocado? Like I'm offsetting, and they're still terrible for you. Anyways, but
oh my word,
I digress rather quickly. But what you guys are doing with LaFlore, I think, is really interesting, and I think certainly kind of this next wave of skincare products and skin health and skin wellness topically. I just think it's pretty cool. I will hand it back over to you and to share more about, you know, ingredients or things like that, whatever.
Well, the biggest thing I want to say is that with LaFlore, if you haven't tried it, and if you're interested in, you know, getting a set, we're happy to send some to you. The way that we have formulated it and made it is that you do notice a difference. It's formulated to be active, and you'll see a difference within a few days. Of course, we don't, you know, write that on the package or anything like that, but we have testimony after testimony of the difference it makes in people's skin immediately. Now there are, you know, with the cleanser, we have, perilla seed oil. This is when I need my presentation to be up, but there's some active ingredients in here that cause circulation and bring blood flow. And so you're going to, thank you. My assistant is showing me.
I have her cheat sheet.
You have to know it's 7 o'clock at night, and I've been working since 6 a.m. So it's like, throw me some grace. But it does cause some stimulation and blood flow, and it's going to bring stuff to the surface that when your skin needs to be purged, right? So it's just like, you know, we've heard this as estheticians, when you start using a new skin line, when you're doing things, you know, be ready for some stuff to come to the surface. Well, this cleanser will really bring some stuff to the surface, right? So you have to know that it's not that it's causing a reaction, but it will cause purging, okay? They do say you can use this as a mask. Leave it on your face for 90 seconds and then remove it for a good exfoliating mask. And it's because of the ingredients that are in it. And I personally cannot do that. I'm dry. I'm a dry sensitive skin. I can't do it for 90 seconds. So there's certain things that we do have to teach your staff and the aesthetic team.
And I do that about 3 times a week.
Yeah, she's oiling and combo and does it 3 times a week. I'm like, dang, I don't know how you do that. But there's, again, like what you're saying, like you take probiotics internally. I have celiac. You have to know your guest. You have to know what's going on with their whole body, because if an esthetician didn't take time to know me, they'd give me that recommendation. I'd go home and do it. I would have a problem because there's so much more happening in my body too. You know, with the gut issues that I have, yeah, that's going to pull some stuff up. I have inflammation in my gut. I have celiac. I mean, there's other things happening, but these are very active products because of how they're made and the excellent ingredients that are used to prep the skin. So with the cleanser on that, with the serum and the moisture, some things I hear is like, oh, my skin's dry from it when they first start using it. Your skin is going to regulate and self-regulate it as it's being needed or as it's being used. And so when you switch over with anything, that type of stuff happens. You have to give it a process. 9 times out of 10, I don't hear a single complaint, but I like to tell people this that are in the industry, because you're dealing with guests that that are going to come to you, and you need to be able to understand whose skin you're working on, no matter just like, oh, you have dry skin, here's the situation. Oh, you have oil skin. You have to understand the whole concept of your guest. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about, right? I'm just like, I could just keep going on. When I practiced in the treatment room, I went through a full consultation about everything, like how they eat, how much water they take in, what else is going on with their body, because it all shows on our skin. And that's why probiotics are important for the topically, not only internally. It's all very important. Hormones, all that stuff is very important. I don't go that in depth with them though.
I mean, with that in mind, I would love
to talk about their hormone levels.
I would love to, talk about hormone levels. I would love to ask you, and perhaps others on the call are wondering the same thing. First of all, what can one expect out of a training if they bring in LaFlore? So what would that time frame look like? How in depth does it go into probiotics and the benefits thereof? And also, my other side of that is you talked about consult. So obviously, we know consultations in general are extremely important to providing a customized, personalized, and effective treatment for each individual. So, do you have a specific set of questions and almost like that Ayurvedic type of thing? I know I'm like really maybe digressing a lot there, but you know where I'm going with that, where you're kind of assigning people with what they may need based on what's going on.
It's a great question, because I've considered putting one together, because what I see out there is just a very generic, consultation, and it doesn't get us to where we need to be. But I think though, with the training part of it, that's where we're able to customize the consultation based on the spa. So to answer your initial question, I haven't put one together because I don't want to make it generic. So for the training, right now with everything going on, everyone gets a webinar training, right? I mean, no matter what. And so we go into detail of all the ingredients, what they do, what to look for, all of that stuff happens. But what we would prefer, is on-site training, and we have to have minimums for that. Now, if somebody wants to order, we're not going to put a minimum order requirement on you. We want to get the product in your hands. But if you want trainers to come out and work with your staff, it's $2,500. But we will come for a full day. We'll work with your estheticians. We'll work on what the consultations look like, things to look for, understanding the whole person, and what what products can work with modalities, and just really how to incorporate it with other lines, what to look for in the ingredient decks. And we'll get into all of that. So if it goes up from there, we'll send 2 people. I mean, if you double that, we'll send out multiple. We'll send out, me and Maggie, so not necessarily both of us, but 2 trainers is what I'm trying to say. Because there's so much to know and to dive into. And we have all the return on investments, we have the ROI, all that stuff to help the spa directors understand what kind of return they're going to get. But working with the SD, working with the treatment room specialist, so that they know really what to look for. So it's a hands-on thing that I think is necessary.
Yeah, I would agree.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, so my question is, you talked about how thorough our estheticians would need to be, and like health concerns and different things. I'm someone who is considered high risk right now. I've got, well, not right now, always, but I would be someone that, I would want someone to be thorough with me, like an esthetician. But what if there was a guest that walked in to the retail space and it was the front desk that was needing to kind of be thorough with them? How does your education or training, how does it differ from the esthetician training?
Sure.
To kind of help guide them with the retail and just ensuring that, all those specifications are shared.
Yeah. So first, I'm glad you asked that question, because the line is very simple. You don't need a lot of training to just use it. What I'm trying to communicate is, I think there's a lot to be educated to the consumer. So I want the estheticians to really understand probiotics and how they work, which is why I would love to come to do a full hands-on training. But you could retail it without saying anything to a person who walks in your spa, and everybody is completely safe. Just know that, okay? But we do have talking points, and we do spend time with the front desk staff as well, so that they understand the live probiotics too. Because it's important to know. I think the biggest thing that's been missed to date about LaFlore is that we're using live probiotics that are dormant until you apply it to the skin, and it does not require refrigeration. There's a lot of companies out there that offer probiotics, but nobody is using live. And that's what's huge. And the live probiotics are the only thing that produce metabolites on the skin. And those metabolites are those antimicrobial peptides that produce, that fight off the pathogens and the viruses and the bad bacteria. So those are key things that specifically is so key right now, that it's not just probiotics that do that, it's the live probiotics that do that. So we've kind of missed that in communication up to date of what that actually means. So you could go to other lines and get probiotics, but you're not going to get that technology. And so,
well, you're not going to get live probiotics.
Right, you're not going to get live probiotics that produce that. So probiotics don't just do that. The live probiotics are the only thing that does. And so with us getting out there, I want to make sure that we're telling every esthetician, every front desk person what it's actually doing, and that they clearly understand it, so that it's flying off the shelf, because there's a real wellness component here for all people. So I hope that helped, Nicole.
John would like to know if there's going to be a YouTube video for after the initial training that people have access to.
Yeah, we actually already have that. We already have some YouTube trainings. We're just trying to make them a little bit better and more intensive and extensive. So we've started.
That's definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions? We've got about 10 minutes of time together left. We can certainly use that up. I'll leave that.
Any questions? Any questions?
There's one more thing I would love to say, because it's been screaming at me here. You'll hear the term triphase live probiotic science, and the triphases, you've got prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. And really, when the word probiotics are used, the only true probiotic is something that's alive or active. And the gentleman earlier was talking, he said, when I said lysates, he said, yeah, that's the dead probiotics. And I'm like, yeah, that is actually considered, well, the closest thing to it is a postbiotic, but it's pieces of DNA from the probiotic when it was alive. And so you'll see a lot of companies, they say they're using probiotics, which, because it hasn't technically been regulated to what it is, everyone's using the word probiotic. But a probiotic is something that's a living microorganism, and it produces health benefits on the skin, right? Or in the gut, whether it's used topically or ingestably, okay? A prebiotic is what you feed the probiotic in order for it to thrive. So that would be all these ingredients we put in for the probiotic to thrive, okay? Postbiotics are what live probiotics produce, and they're also called metabolites. So they produce those antimicrobial peptides, they produce vitamins, other minerals, the amino acids, the vitamin K, vitamin B, all of those things. So that's why it's important to feed the probiotics really good prebiotics so you get the best postbiotics. So
the life cycle.
The life cycle. Okay.
The life cycle of probiotics?
Yes. Yes. And so it's really good you're recording this, because I'm sure you really caught all that. But that's what's really important right now, because we're really moving into a phase right now, or a season, where probiotics are becoming a topic, and the microbiome's really becoming a topic. And so the definition of all that is what I told you, and probiotics is really only a living microorganism. So if they're using a lysate, which we use, and we do believe in them, but if they're using a lysate, it really goes in that postbiotic definition, because it's not alive. So it's that after, it's what probiotics make. But it's kind of complicated, because it's actually just pieces of the dead DNA that was a probiotic. So, but I don't want to confuse the issue. Yeah, John's like, it's going like this.
Which at that point, when you're dead and you're extracting it, it's only capable of doing one thing. It's only capable of doing what it's bred to do. Yeah. So when you are placing those live probiotics in the skin, it is going to customize for what your individual microbiome needs at that time in its life. Yeah. It has the ability to choose what your skin needs instead of only reacting to what it used to be. Does that make sense?
Total sense.
Total sense.
It does.
And so,
it really does.
Good. And the lysates that we use, there's one in when you have training with us, we have lysates that do cell renewal and brightening and lightening of the skin. We do have clinical studies on those particular lysates, from where we get those lysates from. So, so that's
cool. And also, I think another good tidbit of information is that our products are vegan friendly. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times when people think of probiotics, they think of milk and dairy. And that's not where our probiotics are derived from. They're actually grown on lemon and fig. And so it's safe, and vegans will appreciate that aspect of our product, which I think is really important.
Yeah, that's huge. I always forget that piece. Mm-hmm. That's a really big deal, especially out there in Boulder, John.
They don't worry about anything clean.
No.
Well, in California, they do.
Yeah.
That is true, but maybe not every part of California.
No.
Jocelyn, you started showing your beautiful face again. Did you have a question, or did you just want to show us your beautiful face?
No, I'm like running around my house, so I didn't want you all to get the full tour, but I'm loving all this information. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a skincare science class, which is great because I'm not an esthetician. And now I feel like I can talk to my estheticians a little bit more.
Good.
So it's really, really cool information. And I saw LaFlore when I was at Spa Tech last year, and Marriott started talking about cancer menus this year, but then COVID happened. Yeah. So I know that that's somewhere we all want to go soon and be able to start offering that. And your product line was already in my head for that.
Yeah, in fact, the longevity oil was made for that rollout. So yeah, it's all in the works. We already have a protocol for you. So we're ready. We're ready.
We're ready.
I think that is a super great point to bring up, and I definitely encourage you to make that part of the information that you share when you reach out to spas and share with them about your brand, because I do think, and I certainly was looking at, and Anne can attest to this, that we were looking at offering a very specific training and certification, even though we don't need the CEUs here in Colorado for this, is to offer specific training for oncology patients, both pre, and, you know, and certainly during and post chemo as well. And, you know, we'll set that aside for a second, but I think to be able to have a topical, a skincare product that can safely be used and can be beneficial and very nourishing for cancer patients, I think is a major win right now. And I think it will be going forward as well. So that's cool that you have all that ready to go. With only about 3 minutes left, does anyone else have any other questions or comments or last minute little tidbits that you'd like to share on the brand?
No, I was just watching Jocelyn pop back and forth. I'm like, okay, now she's taking us around the house, guys. No, I think we got it covered. So we're good.
And if you have any questions that come up, or, you know, would like some clarification on something, you can always email me or Amy, and we'll be happy to just answer that. I'm assuming, you know, you're going to let them know our email, or we can just give you guys a little shout out too, just so you have our emails available.
Yeah. And again, we're happy to send samples out if you haven't tried LaFlore. And then I have special stuff coming to you, Holly. I'll let you.
You do. I'm very excited about it.
I'll let you tell them. I don't know if you want me to say anything.
Frozen, but I think I'm unfrozen now. So yeah, I'm super excited about the goodies that are coming our way. So for all of our new spa members, we are going to be giving out this wonderful gift of the hand sanitizer and hand shield duos to all of those members later this month. So we are thrilled, and that is, you know, certainly the generosity of Amy and LaFlore, and we are so grateful for that. I'm really excited to give that a go personally and try that. I know that everyone else will be excited to receive that as well. So this will be just part of the welcome kit. If you haven't already joined the association, I highly recommend that you do so. You know, just in general, you get to be a part of wonderful conversations like this, but you also will have an opportunity as we go forward to be a part of more exclusive type events and conversations. We certainly are open to everybody. We want anyone to feel like they can join us, like Nicole from California. We're happy to have her, and anyone else from anywhere else across the United States join our calls. But becoming a member, you'll have access to additional resources and special gifts and special events that will be just for our members only. So check it out. If you haven't been to our website yet, ColoradoSpaAssociation.com, all one word. And we'll definitely share your information with Amy at LaFlore so that she can reach out to you and most definitely send you those little goodies if you're interested in trying out some of their products.
And then we're gonna see you again next week.
And next week. You are next week. I'm so excited about that. So next week we're learning about Rain Together, which is a great CBD brand, and I'm very excited to talk about how to de-stress using your product, and maybe learn a little something about distressing my husband. And he's not stressed. He's never stressed. I'm way more stressed than he is, so maybe he should be on that call too, to learn how to de-stress and take me down a couple notches. Will be good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're super thrilled to have you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're grateful for your partnership, and we hope that everyone has a fantastic Tuesday and rest of the week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Holly.
Bye. Thank you.